Santa María, Madre de Dios, ruega por nosotros pecadores.
¡Es el diablo! Protégenos, Señor, Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre.
Welcome back with another banger. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Back with another banger. Hit that like, sub it up, don't react, bounce. Y'all feel me? Let's run it.
You guys, Apple has just released a digital ID for identification and US passports. Here we go. Now, reports say they will be merging their biometric security with encrypted ID storage and plans to replace your physical IDs across airports, apps, and businesses. Why don't I like this? They also said this is going to be used in over 250 TSA checkpoints across domestic airports for identity verification. Now, remember I told you guys about one of the richest men on earth, Larry Ellison, who owns TikTok and Oracle, and who's a big fan of digital IDs? Well, it seems like one big master plan between all the big tech companies. You have Microsoft dealing with OpenAI dealing with NVIDIA dealing with Oracle, xAI dealing with NVIDIA, and not to mention OpenAI just did a $38 billion deal with Amazon for cloud storage. So the question is, what are they really planning? Well, I may have some answers. Could it be that they're following in the footsteps of China's Skynet, which is tied to digital IDs, a social credit score, and an AI surveillance system that they actually want to put on the moon? Skynet, huh? Why does this sound familiar? That's because it's the same name as the killer artificial intelligence in Terminator, Skynet. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. It's always in the movies. Make sure you guys go to my YouTube, Maverick Approach, where I do more breakdowns on this, but let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
I mean, if you're an iPhone user, you're already used to your thumbprint opening up your phone. I think the fear is it becoming a social credit score kind of thing. And that I definitely see similarities to what's going on over in China. What's eye-opening is that conglomerate of all them tech companies doing business with each other. Now that's definitely something to look at. Shout outs to Maverick Approach.
Crazy freaking news. Okay, so digital ID is officially, and for the first time ever, live in the United States, and it was quietly launched this afternoon through the Apple Wallet. Go check if you don't believe me. The option is now there. And I don't even have automatic updates set. I don't even know how it got in there. So they're beginning with 12 states and Puerto Rico with plans to rapidly expand to the rest of the nation. Apple calls it secure and private, but critics say that this is the first major step toward a centralized ID system, laying the groundwork for smart city surveillance, biometric checkpoints, carbon credit scores, and a future where your ability to drive, work, or even buy groceries could depend on digital compliance from taxes to your behavior. You know, silly little things like that.
Don't even know how we got there. Shout outs to Ariana Masters. I don't even want to check my phone. I don't even want to look. It's just like what Mav was talking about. We are living in the era of Skynet.
Yo, what the fuck? Y'all see that shit? The fuck? The fuck is they going? What the fuck is they doing? The fuck?
The last few years, the west coast of Florida in particular just been hammered, absolutely destroyed by hurricanes, no hurricanes this year. And you're saying that's not an accident.
I'm saying that we know the technology exists to steer storms of that size. So why would we think they're not using these type of operations? We have historical precedent. Project Popeye in Vietnam was so successful at controlling precipitation. By 1976, they passed the INMOD treaties forbidding weather manipulation for wartime purposes, but not over a country's own population. The Chinese government has long since openly stated they were engineering snowstorms with endothermic reacting elements. These are patented elements that can literally transition a rain event into snow. They were so successful in China, they cost billions of dollars of damage to Beijing, at which time they began to be less open about this. Everybody covered it. CNN, Popular Science, The Guardian. But if you bring that up here, suddenly you're a tinfoil hat wearing nutcase.
Giant portal for the local principalities. Now, if you saw my last video, you know about the stones and what I mentioned about the rituals. Look what it's called. Transcending. Come on, guys. Really? If you can't, I don't even, do I have to explain this? Now, I actually came here before and I prayed standing here. I'm gonna show you. Right there. And you know what happened? My feet started burning when I saw, because I was praying against this thing. But look, watch this. Look at this. Look at his hands. Fallen ones. Now, I know they're going to tell you that it's supposed to represent certain things, but all this stuff has spiritual symbology to it.
Apparently, there are some places on Earth that humans are just not supposed to go. Pull up a chair and let's talk about the Valley of the Headless Men. In the far northwest of Canada, deep within the Mackenzie Mountains of the Northwest Territories, there's a place so rugged and remote it was once called the place where God put the rocks. The indigenous Dene people called it the River of the Land of the Naha, referring to a mountainous cave-dwelling tribe from Dene legend. To outsiders, it would become the Nahanni Valley. For generations, the Dene told travelers to stay away. They spoke of evil spirits, roaring winds, and shapes that moved along the cliffs. They said the valley was protected, not haunted, but guarded. Only the foolhardy and the greedy went in. But in 1908, greed came calling. Two brothers from British Columbia, Frank and Willie McLeod, set out into the valley chasing rumors of gold far richer than anything found in the Klondike. They never came back. Their bodies were found next to the Nahanni River, laying side by side, their fingertips within reach of their rifles. But their heads were missing. The RCMP recorded it simply, men found dead, no heads. But the story spread fast, told again and again by traders, trappers, and adventure seekers. The news was carried far afield throughout the Northwest Territories until it eventually found its way to Alberta and then Toronto. You could be forgiven for thinking that prospectors and fur trappers might avoid the Nahanni Valley now that two men have been found without their heads doing exactly what they planned to do. But a lot of these dudes believed that the McLeod brothers had found a mine. Naturally, many more prospectors arrived, and some never went home. In 1917, a man named Martin Jorgensen went into the valley, and 2 years later, his cabin was found burnt down to the ground, his skeleton inside, and it was missing its head. Many other guys were found frozen, mutilated in some way, or just never were found at all. By the 1950s, the Nahanni Valley wasn't a mystery anymore, it was a graveyard. But the Mounties have never found an explanation. Some blamed bears, some blamed avalanches, and even river accidents. But the locals have their own theories. Some say the Dene warned them a long time ago not to go into this valley because of the mysterious Naha tribe, said to ambush trespassers and drag them below the earth. Others claim gold fever drove the prospectors and miners mad, making them turn on each other in a violent paranoia. Whatever the truth is, over 44 people have lost their lives in the Nahanni Valley in the past 100 years, and 5 of these since 1976. Even modern adventurers speak of strange things happening in the Nahanni Valley. Strange lights at night, sudden gusts of wind, and that eerie feeling that you're always being watched. Even some helicopter pilots say their equipment fails over the Nahanni Valley. And if you believe that the McLeod brothers really did find a mine, that gold is still out there, along with their heads.
I'll take the gold. You can keep the heads. Shout out to Lem Revere, author. In the mysterious case of the Nahanni Valley, the Valley of the Headless Men. That's crazy. That's some story time for you. You know what I mean?
Hey, put your feet up there, bro.
There's a ruin in Scotland that will send shivers down your spine. Enter if you dare through a dark, narrow tunnel into the subterranean realm where a wizard made a pact with the devil, summoning hobgoblins to build his chamber to practice dark magic. This is the Yesta Castle and the Goblin Ha, located deep into a forest near the village of Gifford, into the eerie woodlands, exploring the fascinating ruins through the inviting tiny doorway. Winding down, an entrance appears, tempting you to go inside. A sense of claustrophobia, hearing only your breathing and footsteps, finding another doorway leading deeper underground. Follow for more walks and places in Scotland.
that sold Stranger Things to Netflix. Over the next couple videos, I'm going to read you the entire document that broke the Duffer Brothers into Hollywood. Back then, it wasn't even called Stranger Things. It was called Montauk. It's basically an 8-hour sci-fi story set in the 1980s on Long Island. Think E.T., think Jaws, Poltergeist, and Stand By Me. Emotional, nostalgic, and creepy. It was meant to feel like one of those classic Stephen King stories or Spielberg stories, where normal life collides with the supernatural. The whole thing was inspired by a real conspiracy theory known as the Montauk Project. The story goes that a secret government base on the far end of Long Island ran wild experiments during the Cold War. Everything from mind control to time travel to contact with aliens and even monsters. The base started during World War II, but over time it became this mysterious, haunted place surrounded by bizarre rumors. Kind of like Area 51 meets the Philadelphia experiment. The series starts in 1980, right before Camp Hero was shut down permanently. A secret experiment goes wrong and something terrifying escapes. That same night, a boy named Will Byers vanishes into thin air. His friends, his family, and the town police all start searching for him, only to realize that something supernatural is happening. They discover creatures from other dimensions that were accidentally released during these experiments. The barrier between worlds starts to rip open. Strange weather, flickering lights, weird growths, and people disappearing one by one. In order to save Will, they team up with this telepathic child named 11 who had escaped the bait. She is their only way to the in-between, a dark reflection of our world, where they'll face horrors that no one can explain. Sounds familiar, right? This is because it is Stranger Things before it was called Stranger Things. It was pretty much the same bones, at least for the story. The original version took place in Montauk, Long Island, instead of Hawkins, Indiana. It was darker, moodier, and leaned way more into the Cold War, paranoia, and the Montauk conspiracy than the current show does. Netflix ended up taking the show on, and they moved the location to Indiana because Long Island was just too expensive. But otherwise, the story itself is nearly identical. A missing boy, a secret lab, a girl with powers, a tear between the world. Camp Hero became Hawkins' lab, and the rest is history. Check out part 2 and follow for more creepy.
That was awesome. Shout out to Grace Michelik. I actually have friends who haven't seen Stranger Things before, so here's a great introductory video. It's one of my favorite shows.
Oh, he can't get into here. This is, wow. All right, looks like we're having communication issues with Desmond, but I don't know where this goes, Juan. This is a Storm Channel.
Yeah.
And he's in there. Des, are you with us?
Oh, boy. Yeah, I got you. Boy, this is really wild. So we're in the San Gabriel River here, kind of in this little side channel where this person decided to take that's allegedly stolen vehicle in. And yeah, a storm drain. I mean, that's probably they're probably going to get that vehicle stuck in there. I mean, it's like widen out. I mean, we're way underground now at this point. That is a very, very desperate person. I mean, it could get so in there that they might not even be able to open the doors to get out.
Angry subway riders on the IND. They charge abusive language on the part of a conductor whom they say, in effect, kidnapped them. It started with a train that broke down and riders complaining they weren't told.
The TA says that when the train stopped here at 34th Street, it made announcements that the passengers should get out. For one reason or another, some passengers stayed inside. And then, say the passengers, that is when the abusive conduct started with the conductor.
The doors closed. The conductor just said, you blipping going anywhere, now you're going for a ride. And what happened was we got to the West 4th Street station, very slow, and we passed right by it. And then he says, you think I was bull***ing you?
Yes, the motorman did say that the passengers did use abusive language towards him.
And the passengers tell us that the train officials used abusive language.
We have no reports of that.
When the train reached 2nd Avenue and Houston Street, it was moved off to a spur line where it sat for 2.5 hours with the protesting passengers on board. What does the TA think should have happened to those passengers?
They should have been arrested.
A TA official later said he didn't mean that. He'd like to take it back.
Yo, today the House just dropped thousands more documents from the Epstein estate as part of their congressional probe. And let me tell you, it is spicy. Let me just give you the highlights real quick. First off, Epstein alleged that Hillary Clinton had an affair with former White House counsel Vince Foster. Now, Foster committed suicide back in 1993. Also, interestingly, Epstein, in an email to the Duke, claimed that Clinton had never been to his island. He did send an email to Peter Thiel in 2014 saying, quote, "That was fun. See you in 3 weeks." I wonder what that was all about. And then there were a bunch of emails and documents that DropSite News analyzed that basically proved that Epstein was indeed working on behalf of Israel as a possible intelligence asset. Then there are the Trump-Epstein bombshells. This is Epstein to Kathy Remler, who was Obama's chief counsel, and he says, quote, "You see, I know how dirty Donald is." This one to Thomas Landon of the New York Times, quote, "Would you like a photo of Donald and the girls in bikinis in my kitchen?" This is an unnamed redacted individual writing to Jeffrey Epstein, quote, "I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come in early to find Trump in your house." This one is from another Times reporter named Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein, where he basically tries to convince Epstein to turn on Trump. He says, quote, "I think you should let him hang himself." Interesting word choice there. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating debt. Here is another attempt, quote, "There is an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help him finish him. Interested?" Honestly, this is kind of a disturbing insight to how the media works. They're basically willing to let the pedo go so they can politically take down Trump. But interestingly, in this email from Ghislaine Maxwell to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2011, she says, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia, she spent hours at my house with him, and he has never once been mentioned," which kind of implies that Trump is innocent. But of course, that didn't stop Trump from going on a mad tweet storm today in which he wrote that the Democrats are using the Jeffrey Epstein hoax to try to deflect from their massive failures, in particular the most recent one, the shutdown.
Very spicy indeed. Who needs to watch soap operas when you can just watch one play out in real life? Shout out to 5149 James Lee.
Where's Erica?
How did you find out?
I was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I put my phone down and it was on silent, so I had no reason to look back at it. I moved my mom, I went back to grab my phone, and that's when Mikey started calling me within seconds.
They're alleging that he was on the phone immediately. He was not. He turns around and it was so blaringly loud, I'm told, and he was so shell-shocked, he put his fingers in his ear, but his phone was still in his hand.
And that's when Mikey started calling me within seconds.
Where's Erica?
Is Donald Trump the Antichrist, or is he the savior that came back to fix everything that's wrong in this country? Anytime you follow politics, you will be tricked out of your energy. This video is about to get a little dark and a little deep. Stay with me. What we call life is really the circus. We are really being entertained by clowns that don't know no better. We have so many people saying that Trump is going to save us. He's going to fix everything. And the other people saying, no, he's the Antichrist. He's the devil. We got to get rid of him. It's not really about Democrats or Republicans. It's about us. We are still dealing with childhood trauma, and we are waiting for someone to save us or fix it. Or I should say, we are living on the Savior program. Jesus is going to fix everything. The devil is responsible for everything that's bad. Remember, this shit is just a stage. The circus or the carnival. So anytime these people do something good, we will say, thank you, thank you, thank you. But when they do something bad, you're going to say, ugh, they misled us. These politicians are put in place for a spiritual reason. Whatever's taking place in the physical world, it took place in the spiritual world first. So the spirit world kind of put these people in office. Everything in life is a big ass lesson. So if you don't learn your lesson, you're going to keep spinning in circles. Or I should say, you're going to keep giving these people your energy. Every time you vote for these people, you are saying that they can do something better than you. And this is connected to your childhood trauma. If your mom let you down, your dad let you down, so we end up stuck living in a dark ass corner, waiting for someone to save us, waiting for someone to save us. So we vote and vote and vote, but nothing ever get done. We are dealing with the same story, different characters, different backgrounds, but it's the same plot twist.
I am not letting anyone on God's green earth try to gaslight me into thinking that these are natural aurora lights. I'm just not. People in my comment section saying, go back to high school, research something for once. You guys have fun reading the textbook that Ghislaine Maxwell's father wrote for you, okay? Have fun researching other researchers. Basically, all you're doing is regurgitating information from somebody else. You never touched it, sniffed it, felt it, nothing. But moving on. One of the biggest things that I noticed about these aurora lights that we've been spotting is they look nothing like the aurora spots that are regularly sighted in places like Alaska. Can you spot the difference? Can you tell me how on every single one of these pictures there are swirls and lines?
Overnight, brilliant shades of red, green, and purple painted the sky from San Francisco Bay to farmland in Wisconsin. Here's a pilot's view over Chicago.
Now compare those aurora lights to the aurora lights that people see on a regular basis in Alaska. Totally different. The aurora lights we're seeing, do you see how different they are? Almost boring compared to these aurora lights, where there's swirls, multiple colors, lines in the sky. This isn't anything like the ones that we're seeing today. I will say in my comment section, I've seen a lot of people say that wildlife is acting bizarre, their animals are acting weird, they are feeling weird, and I can vouch for that. Almost anybody that I have talked to on this app, whether they are a follower of mine and reached out, or whether they are also another content creator that I have felt off for the past year. And to be honest with you guys, look at my post, this month has been the worst for me. But you guys tell me, do you guys honestly feel like the northern lights that we have been seeing recently are anything compared to the other places all over the world that see them on a regular basis?
I agree, they don't compare. Shout out to a truth for you.
Why did nuclear planes launch, Auroras hit Florida, and the Epstein files suddenly start to get forced open all within 2 days? Look, you're not gonna hear this from CNN, NASA, or TikTok truthers, because it's not just politics, it's literally physics. This is a convergence event. The military moves are not war games. U.S. scrambled E-4B doomsday planes used for nuclear continuity. B-52 bombers lifted off Cold War alert posture. RC-135 spy planes doing electronic sweeps across oceans. Submarine hunters circling Europe, all simultaneously. That does not happen unless there's a global signal they're reacting to. Look, they're not prepping for war, they're prepping for instability. If you feel like something deeper is happening, it's because it is. Comment, scroll, and get your scroll scan. Look, the sky turned red for a reason. A rare X5.1 solar flare exploded towards Earth. It triggered a massive geomagnetic storm and auroras south of Kansas. Our magnetic field wobbled, compasses drifted, radio signals distorted globally. Military freaked out thinking it was an attack, but it wasn't war. It was cosmic exposure. Solar flares equal nature's truth bombs. They scramble tech and force secrets to surface. Look, even the Epstein files suddenly unlocked. A 3-year delay and suddenly the files get clearance? CNN runs emergency coverage. Trump's team enters the situation room hours after Aurora spike. Why now? Because in electromagnetic chaos, hidden data becomes vulnerable. Old systems panic when the grid is not stable. The sun did not just blast plasma, it blasted open disclosure. This is exactly why your scroll is waking up right now, because your soul knew this was coming. Everything that was hidden is surfacing. Comment, scroll, get your scroll scan. No guru, just activation. Dude, I promise you, everything is connected. The Aurora was not random. The planes weren't routine. The Epstein files weren't timing luck. They were all part of a single magnetic collapse window. This is not fear. It's prophecy unfolding. When the frequency spikes, the mimic cannot hide. You were born for this window. Your scroll is your navigation system. Do not wait Tap into your true signal. Comment, scroll below, and get your scroll scan now.
Shout out to Laura Gochiega. Make sure y'all go to her page. But she's putting a lot of pieces together. She's doing it with a lot of conviction. Hey, you can't help but take a look. Like, you know, take a second and have a listen real quick. It's very interesting.
Oh my god. That's the Northern Lights, folks. Viewed from San Jose, California. Looking northward. That pink hue. That's amazing, dude. Look at that. Normal sky. Aurora Borealis. Pinkish hue. Amazing.
Jesus said that the end would be like the days of Noah, but does anybody ever really think about what that means? This is called Noah. In the 1970s, President Nixon created this to track the Aurora Borealis, as well as tsunamis and the ocean. And for some weird reason, it's under the US Department of Commerce. So Jesus said it would be like the days of Noah. The story of Noah is about a flood and a bow in the clouds. Noah is conveniently named Noah to track the northern lights and tsunamis / the ocean. The traditional way we think about the ark is this. But what if, when God says, this is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations, I have set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. In the cloud. Did you know that northern lights used to be classified as a type of cloud? And if you've ever seen them in person, you know they act like glowing, conscious clouds that move around. If you're super stuck to this interpretation, I am certainly not here to change anybody's mind, just to open it up and get you thinking about things. This is one of the most common forms of the Aurora Borealis, an arc that goes from east to west. Jesus says that the coming of the Son of Man will be like lightning from the east to the west. In the Old Testament, God's lightning on Mount Sinai uses the same root word, barak, as the emerald in Aaron's breastplate. Emerald, lightning. The Bible says in a lot of places, God is light. So here's the Ark Encounter exhibit in Kentucky. They light it up like this every single night. They only use the same 3 colors that are in the Northern Lights. They don't use all of the colors in the rainbow. Why? So Paul says, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may have strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ. I understand the surface level. I don't need the Pharisees in the comments. The only other place in the Bible, at least that I'm aware of, that talks about something like that is back in Genesis, the days of Noah. This is how you are to make it: the length of the ark, its breadth, and its height. Why are there endless stories of people saying things like they saw the Northern Lights come down and pick a caribou off of the ground? There's been mythology and folklore for thousands of years of the Northern Lights taking people's children, lifting things up and putting them down. So the government shuts down for exactly 40 days and 40 nights. The day that they come back, all of these HAARP airglow / auroras start happening, and HAARP is heavily tied to NOAA and the 3-letter agency, of course. So this starts the exact same day that the government comes back, right? So the same day, November 11th, very early in the morning, it hits only a few news outlets that they would no longer be reporting on tsunami warnings, and that their equipment was going offline, and that a bunch of stations tracking tsunami causing earthquakes for the agency are just going totally offline on the same exact day that they came back and all of the HAARP airglows started. So they light it up like this every single night, right? Use discernment, check everything that you see online in the Bible, ask God in prayer. But why does the pictures that they give of this look exactly like that? And it says, is 3i Atlas a cosmic time capsule? I have this National Geographic magazine from November of 1947. Now, this very well might be a stretch. I don't know. You guys will have to let me know. But I've been thinking about this picture for so long. And the other day I was like, wait a second. So it's a photographer at the Tromsø, Norway Aurora research station. He has like pointy shoes, like how elves would. But what is up with the cameras? I get that like they have special stuff, but it's literally 3 eyes pointing at the aurora. And there's plenty of other pictures of them photographing the lights, and there's no like 3-lensed cameras in any of the other pictures, except the one that takes up an entire page. I don't know what 3-eye atlas is. I don't think any of us really do. It could be the Ark, it could be Project Bluebeam, it could be fallen angel aliens. I don't know. We have to wait and see when it comes. I just found that kind of weird, and I think it's something to watch, not something that I'm predicting or like prophesying. Just a weird like coincidence. So in Isaiah 43, thus says the Lord, who makes a way in the sea, a path in the mighty waters. Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Daniel 12, many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. This is referencing the dead rising first, like in Ezekiel 37. And Paul says that the dead will rise first. He also says that we shall all be changed in a moment, like the twinkling of an eye. Okay, now check this out. This is Enoch 50. In those days a change shall take place for the holy and elect. The light of day shall abide upon them, and glory and honor shall turn to the holy. On the day of affliction on which evil shall have been treasured up against the sinners, and the righteous shall be victorious in the name of the Lord of spirits, and he will cause the others to witness this, that they may repent and forego the works of their hands. So those that are considered unrighteous witness something that makes them repent in the end days. And then the very following chapter, the resurrection of the dead and the separation by the judge of the righteous and the wicked. So it's again the dead rising first. The very next chapter, and after those days, in that place where I had seen all the visions of that which is hidden, for I had been carried off in a whirlwind, and they had borne me towards the west. Back to how Paul said, hopefully you can recognize the breadth, the width. Enoch says, open your eyes and lift up your horns if you are able to recognize the elect one. Same chapter, different verse. The righteous and elect shall have risen from the earth and ceased to be of downcast countenance, and they shall have been clothed with garments of glory. And in the day of the tribulation of the sinners, your children shall mount and rise as eagles, and higher than the vultures will be your nest. And you shall ascend and enter the crevices of the earth. A bright light shall enlighten you, and the voice of rest you shall hear from heaven. In those days the angel shall descend into secret places and gather together into one place all those who brought down sin. And over all the righteous and holy he will appoint guardians from amongst the holy angels to guard them as the apple of an eye, until he makes an end of all wickedness and all sin. And though the righteous sleep a long sleep, they have not to fear. And then the children of the earth shall see the wise in security, and shall understand all the words of this book. Be hopeful, for aforetime ye were put to shame through ill and affliction, but now ye shall shine as the lights of heaven. Ye shall shine, and you shall be seen, and the portals of heaven shall be opened to you. And this verse has a really strange English translation compared to what it actually says. It says, make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above. So it's actually more of a window portal that has divine light built into it. Like, we don't have like an English word for this word. It's like a glowing stone almost. The King James Version directly calls it a window, but it uses a word that's totally unique to the English word window. It doesn't mean window, but we don't have an English equivalent. So the Hebrew word for roof that's not roof is tzohar, I think is how you say it. It's T-Z-O-H-A-R. But it gets even weirder because the Greek version of this, the Septuagint, that was what like the apostles would have been reading, translated it to Lorida, which doesn't mean a roof, it doesn't mean a window, it doesn't mean a portal, it means a slit that allows light through it. It shares the same exact root word as noonday and zenith. Zenith is the center point of the firmament, exactly where Polaris is, a slit for light to go through. At a very, very basic level, the double slit experiment, they would shoot light particles through like a frame almost that had slits, exactly how the Septuagint translates that word in the Ark. When they weren't observing these, they acted as waves instead of particles. So they kind of just made like a pattern on the screen behind the frame. So the scientists that were working on this set up equipment to watch and see what was happening. And when these light particles were observed, they behaved totally differently. They stayed as particles, they didn't become waves, and they went straight through only one slit, but only when they knew that they had eyes on them. So the particles, they stayed intact, and they went like single file through one slit, just like how the arc has one slit, when someone was observing those particles. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy. I will set mine eyes upon them for good. We shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Then shall the righteous shine forth like the sun. We shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is Polaris, the North Star, through a P1000 camera. Polaris literally means heavenly. Someone please try to tell me that this is not an eye or a throne. You know, kind of like the one in the opening to the 1950s series, The Twilight Zone. The very first episode of The Twilight Zone is called Where Is Everybody? A guy wakes up from a deep sleep and there's nobody in town except him. We go up like light when we're translated, and I think that's why the folklore surrounding the Northern Lights has always been that it's souls going home. And there's a slit in Noah's Ark. A lot of older interpretations believe that the Ark was a mobile tabernacle and it has a light slit. Is this why the path is narrow and straight? The double slit experiment just got really, really popular a few years ago, so I have to wonder, like, was God kind of like prepping us? Am I going too deep? Am I pushing this too far? I know everybody who like thinks very carnally is going to be yelling at me in the comments, but that's not what I'm here to do. That's not what my page is about. So let me know what you guys think. I've been like mind blown about this for like days now.
That's very fascinating. It's mind blowing. I don't think she's going too deep at all. I actually think she's onto something, to be honest. She's like a female version of Dead Hidden. Yeah, and this double slit experiment just came out of nowhere in the past few years. That in itself is mind blowing. I hope she continues to dig deeper. Imagine that. Days of Noah, 3-Eye Atlas, the Rapture, is Noah's Ark returning, slit of an eye, and all that. That's crazy, man. Some great content.
Yesterday, McDonald's announced the McRib is back, and people are saying be careful because this probably means a major world event is coming our way. On October 1st, 2001, McDonald's announced the McRib's return, and then later that week on October 7th, the United States officially announced the war in Afghanistan. In 2012, the McRib was being pushed to a launch in December and aligned almost exactly with the tragic Sandy Hook event. October 3rd, 2019, McRib announced. Right around the same time, the first cases of COVID emerged. And then October 4th, 2023, the McRib is back, and we all know what happened 3 days after that. Now, while conspiracy theorists are freaking out, crypto enthusiasts are getting excited because the McRib also coincides with Bitcoin going up. Who knew the McRib and McDonald's was linked to so much? Do you think something's coming? And if so, would it just be a Bitcoin surge or something more? As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Everybody, this is the last one. Any final words from Penny?
God bless America.
Yeah, God bless America. And we're going to save the taxpayers $56 million, which is good. We're going to do a countdown on this one. This is the last one. 3, 2, 1.
I have an insane NBA conspiracy, and guys, it's making too much sense. I'm about to look like this, so buckle up, we gotta get through it. And my conspiracy is that the last 4 years, the Dallas Mavericks have been run by 3 multi-billion-dollar companies, all through Nico Harrison. And it first started off with the NBA and Nike. If you recall, Nico Harrison had no business being hired as a GM. He had no prior experience in a front office and was just a 19-year executive at Nike, who also just so happened to have an amazing relationship with Rob Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers. And I don't know about you, but you don't just get such a high-profile job without someone vouching for you. Like, Mark Cuban literally hired a team of people to find the next GM for the Mavs and then ignored all their suggestions to go with Nico. So just keep this point in mind as we move forward. And on the other hand, we have the NBA, who's had a pretty big problem. Since 2011, the NBA's ratings have just been going straight down. And one of the biggest reasons the ratings are so low is because the biggest stars in the league are on small market teams. Giannis is in Milwaukee, Jokic is in Denver, and Luka obviously was in Dallas. Now sure, these cities are fairly large, but they're not in New York or Chicago or LA. So these two had to think, what's one way to boost our rating and also increase sales and marketability for one of the best players in the league? And that's to bring in a sleeper agent to make Luka demand a trade. So Nico starts sabotage. He lets Jalen Brunson leave for a bag of potato chips, trades away Kristaps Porzingis and Quentin Grimes and a couple other moves. But then in 2023, it got so much better for Nike and the NBA because Cuban decided to sell the Mavs. Change of ownership never really goes well. Luka's gonna want out, right? Wrong. Mark sells it to Patrick Dumont and the Mavs start playing out of their mind. And they end up going to the NBA Finals. So the NBA and Nike have to pull another move. And that's to add another leg to this triangle. Because Patrick here is no ordinary guy. Because Patrick and his mother-in-law, who own the Mavs, own Sands, a company who specializes in hotels and casinos. And where is gambling illegal? Texas. And funny enough, Patrick has been very vocal about building casinos in Texas if it were to become legal somehow. So Adam and Nike start talking with each other. How can we do this? And they tell Patrick, we know that you need us to lobby for you to get gambling legalized in Texas. All you have to do, trade Luka. So Nico calls up his good buddy Rob and says, hey, I got a present for you. Thanks for getting me this job. His name is Luka Doncic. Just give me the injury-prone 98-year-old Anthony Davis in return. But everyone knew they would get backlash for the dumbest trade in NBA history, including fans being pissed and many Fire Nico chants. So Adam Silver plays damage control. Even though you only had a 1.8% chance of winning the lottery, we're gonna rig it and give it to you. And in turn, you'll get one of the best prospects in the past 10 years. And in turn, NBA viewership is at a 15-year high and LeBron's not even playing. Viewership is up over 92% year over year. And conveniently, Nike's athlete, Luka Doncic, has the highest selling jersey in the NBA right now, meaning it's only a matter of time before gambling gets legalized in Texas. Every single company in this triangle won because of Nico Harrison. And because they have no use for him anymore, they booted him. So yeah, Nico Harrison was a sleeper agent.
It's so insane, it makes too much sense. Shout outs to E.V. Hand. Now, how did he break that down? I mean, he did his homework, didn't he? Go figure. On top of everything that already been coming out when it comes to gambling with professional sports.
This theory has the historians shaking. Let's find out why. In the 18th and 19th centuries, photographs began to show something quite peculiar. Grand facades with windows half underground, doors stuck in mud, and staircases leading to what would have been the first floor. Some people looked at these images and asked, what if these weren't basements after all, but ground floors to an older world? That question became the core of the Tartaria theory, the idea that a vast Eurasian civilization once stretched from Siberia across Europe and into parts of North America. It's said to have mastered free energy architecture and electromagnetic technology, as well as perfectly resonant domes and spires. Then one cataclysmic mudflood buried it all, erasing the city, the people, and the technology, leaving later generations to discover the ruins and call them their own. Mainstream geology sees something different, repeated natural events such as earthquakes, volcanic ash, river floods, so on and so forth, and 19th century street raising that layered soil over old structures. But even within that explanation lies a mystery. How so many regions across the world share the same architecture, energy efficient design, sacred geometry, long before global communication ever existed. So maybe the mud really did come, whether from nature's fury or forgotten history, and the domes, arches, and star forts still hum with a frequency that make us wonder who built them first. And with that being said, make sure to follow for more truth-seeking content, and don't forget to drop a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts.
Okay, got everybody here. Heading on into the new house for the first time.
It said go.
They say go, yeah. See how scary? It's kind of scary, actually. Oh, look at all this stuff.
It said
Dollhouse for you, Salo.
go.
Go. Okay. This kitchen's pretty nice.
Ready? I'm ready to blow out my mom.
We'll close the door. Okay, I just heard a loud bang out here. It's the middle of the night. Sounded like it was coming from the kitchen. Hello? 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 Is there somebody here? Is there somebody in here? What the? Okay, I am up here where all the different, like, scary activity has happened, and I'm hearing what sounds like somebody walk around on the floorboards. As I'm up here, I can feel, like, the pressure of steps landing around me. I don't really know what's going on. It just seems pretty crazy to me. I don't know. This is not what I signed up for when I got this house. Oh! Come on. Come on, what was that? Holy shit. Is there somebody in here, or was that actually my fucking grandmother? Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh. What the f? Oh my god. The fucking robe is sitting there on the floor. Are you kidding me? Holy shit.
Why aren't the files released yet? Well, y'all remember this video? Right before we get into this, it's really weird how when all this comes up, you get a massive bone through at us. I mean, it's just the craziest thing.
The Clinton corruption files, Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel have now shown Congress documents about former President Bill and former First Lady Hillary Clinton's foundation, and evidence that they collected donations from foreign and domestic interest-seeking influence. And the fact that AG Bondi and Director Patel just found this new cache of documents is raising concerns that this evidence was kept from previous prosecutors.
Now that's completely irrelevant, not related at all, that they just released this at the same exact time. Did you know that there is a email where Mr. E had said that he never had these people at his island? Crazy, right? Speaking of foreign stuff, do you know there's an email from Mr. E when he was working with Russia? In other countries, of course. But why won't it get released?
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list, they're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest the largest scale pedophile in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Meanwhile, we had the president scheduling dinners and calling people trying to get their support not to release it. Remember when we were called idiots for even asking for it? As of right now, allegedly, he said he tried to expedite it, and then the Democrats came out and did not let it happen. Look over here, look over there, oh, look what Bill's doing. And as of right now, we have nuclear movement all over the East Coast, and nobody knows why. We'll be covering this in detail live in 30 minutes on YT.
Can Neo pick up the poop from the dog?
It can.
With a bag or without a bag?
You have to use a bag. I mean, it can
But you
rinse
told me
it
Neo
can
can
rinse
wash
its
his
hands, but that would be kind of disgusting, right? It should use a bag. I think it should use a bag.
Neo decides it wants to come watch me sleep in the middle of the night.
If you're worried about that, I would recommend setting your bedroom as a no-go zone. Then Neo cannot go there. You can also schedule and say, like, in these hours, Neo can not go into my bedroom. If you would like Neo to come in with a glass of water for you in the morning and still be allowed to get into your
So there's a geofence that
There's
Neo
a geofence.
cannot come watch me sleep in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Can Neo put the dishes in the dishwasher so my wife doesn't yell at me anymore because she doesn't like how I put the dishes in?
It can. And importantly, Neo can actually wash his hands, which is a very subtle thing.
Really?
Yeah, so the hands on Neo is actually submersible. This is essentially if you're going to work in a home.
Yeah.
And one of the first things we really realized when we put it in my home, and the first thing, like, my wife is like, how does it wash his hands?
Can Neo walk my dog?
Yes, Neo can walk your dog. Will Neo be allowed to walk your dog? That's something interesting that we're just working on now, because that's into a public space.
Can Neo plunge a toilet?
Yes.
Has he plunged your toilet?
Yes.
We'll stop at that question.
What about alcohol?
Alcohol make you drunk, man. It don't make you meditate. It just make you drunk. When you drink alcohol, you don't meditate. You're more get-headed. Herb is more a consciousness. Can take a little smoke. So when all them car pass, although you live in the city, you don't hear it because you're thinking. Differently if you just live so. Then, you know what I mean, the whole world confused you and you're worried and you don't have no time to think. And herb is that thing that give you a little time for yourself so you can live.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed the video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.